Welcome to another episode of No Huntsville.
The show about arts and culture in Huntsville, Alabama.
Right.
I am Daniela.
I am Tom. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Welcome back.
Yeah, we're excited to be once again at this great facility here. The weather is cooperating a little bit with us right now, right?
It's so nice. It's fall.
It is. It's starting to feel like
It's when the women
now.
come alive.
That's
All
right.
the basic ladies.
All right, let's get into it.
Yes.
Let's do it.
Today we are joined by not a basic lady, but the president of Huntsville Venue Group,
Yes.
Ryan Murphy.
Yeah,
Welcome.
Very
Thank
excited
you.
to have you, man. So you got big news, and just off the cusp of some bigger news that just came out from the city, giving the green light of what you are brought here to do, which is put an amphitheater right here at MidCity.
One of the things.
One of the things.
One of the things.
that I hope to do. That I will do.
Multifaceted.
A
Yeah.
huge thing.
Yeah.
And it's been a
physically
journey.
a large thing, and yeah, it's 2 years in the making. I've lived here with my family a year and a half now, so it's
Wow.
nice that this is.
Well, welcome to
becoming a reality.
Huntsville, Yeah, which you probably in your past would never think anybody would be saying to you, right? As far as coming and staying, right?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I've told many people the story, but as soon as this project was floated to me, the idea of like retiring in St. Augustine and moving here, I said no, no. But my best friend back in St. Augustine is born and raised in Huntsville, and he was like, give it a chance, go check it out, and the rest is history.
Yeah, so
Here
let's
you
rewind
are.
the tape a little bit
Yep.
and get to the point of what got you to this position and why you're here. So you have done another project in St. Augustine, where you're from in Florida, multiple different places in Florida, but that was a huge project you put together, and one of the reasons that led to you being hired for this project. So give a little background about yourself, about what you did there,
Sure.
and then we can start talking about what you planned here.
Sure. So, yeah, for the last 10 years, living in St. Augustine, I was the director of cultural events for St. Johns County. County director, senior staff, which came with a lot of bureaucracy, but also the fun part of the job, which was operating a 4,000 to 5,000 seat amphitheater, a concert hall, multiple festivals. The way I operated and ran that amphitheater was unlike the way amphitheaters and venues are run currently, in which it's very community-minded. We had a ton of markets, festivals, small events, graduations, along with a lot of the huge names that were coming through Florida. We were treated as a boutique amphitheater for a little bit because we were in a minor market in Jacksonville, Orlando. Some of the major markets would steal kind of the thunder. But within the 10 years of living there and working there, I got the amphitheater to the point where sometimes it would be the only place that, whether it be Bon Iver, Jack Johnson, Santana, there were certain artists that would only play one Florida show, and it would be in St. Augustine.
Oh, nice.
So that was a pretty tremendous turning of the tides. And during that tenure there, I did a festival in 2013 with the band Mumford & Sons. They do a traveling festival called Gentlemen of the Road. And they go out and they look at numerous cities across the globe, and they pick a handful a year to do this traveling, amazing festival. St. Augustine was on a short list. I met some of the people. The management came down, some of the band, fell in love with St. Augustine, and I basically convinced them to do the festival there in 2013. I met Ben Lovett, who's my partner and boss in all this, and Mike Luba, another partner of ours, works for Medicine House Presents. Became good friends, and over the course of that next 6-7 years, we kept in touch, followed each other across, all our professions. And fast forward to a couple years ago when Sound Diplomacy was here and talking to everyone and researching the idea of an amphitheater, and knew that the city was looking at MidCity and some locations and really actually tangibly talking about building an amphitheater. There was some people that were talking about building your typical field with a shed and a concrete block stage, and kind of the run-of-the-mill thing. Ben Lovett and Mike Luba and some of my partners flew down here, met the city through Sound Diplomacy, told them, hey, there's a different way to do this. We could make it a really cool, exciting thing that Huntsville will be known for. Not just one of many, but just the one. And through all that, Ben told me that he was convinced that Huntsville was the place to do this, and he really wanted to work with the city. And the next step was convincing me to leave Florida and move with my family to Huntsville. And so they called me, sat me down, gave me the whole spiel. and I said, this sounds like a dream job. It's working with people I love who are visionaries in the industry, and it sounds like a city that they had yet to name. It sounds like a city that's really embracing the quality of life and investing in arts and culture and music. And oh my God, what a dream come
What
true.
is
Wait
this
a minute.
progressive city you
Yeah,
speak of?
what is this utopia you speak of? They said, Huntsville, Alabama.
Alabama.
Nice.
I said, I can't do it. I was like, Lauren, my wife and I had just made a deal that I think the farthest south we wanted to move was Tennessee. They were like, it's like a 20, 30-minute drive to the border, no big deal. I said, I'll go check it out. And one of my best friends, Andrew, is from here, and he was like, you should go check it out. I heard some things are happening. So we came here, we drove from Florida for our first meeting here, and we fell in love. And it was game on, and once the city committed to us helping design it and going through a lot of the pre-opening stuff, that was enough for me to commit to retire from St. Johns County and St. Augustine Amphitheater and move here with my family a year and a half ago.
And we were talking about this before, but leaving Florida for Alabama, I understand the shock.
The long voyage.
Yeah, and St. Augustine was where there was nothing where I grew up. So St. Augustine was where we did everything. And I was telling Ryan earlier, that's where I saw Jesse McCartney at your amphitheater and Steely Dan. So that was kind of a cool, I'd been there. And it was an amazing venue. And I think it is amazing that Huntsville has drawn talent like you here. This isn't just some random person deciding to do an amphitheater. It's someone who has successfully done this in a new and innovative way. And we're so fortunate to have that type of creativity leading the helm on a project of this magnitude.
That's awesome. That's really flattering. I think it just fits so well because I don't even think I set out to do that in St. Augustine. It was more a reaction to, it was actually a financial reaction in the beginning to be like, well, listen, if we're not making money as an amphitheater, as a county facility, are they going to close the doors or sell us off at some point? What can I be doing besides aggressively going after these major concerts? Well, if I start having programming here for the community, the farmers markets, the night markets, the smaller shows, the stages around, if I'm just open and vibrant, the more I'm creating this army of supporters around the community. So if they ever do come to try to shut me down, I have my legions of supporters going, you can't shut him down. We need this place. So it was kind of a reaction to that until I realized it was very much in principle how I believed a facility like that should be run. And I feel like the city here in Huntsville has gotten that unlike anyone I've seen. Like the city leadership here, the mayor, John Hamilton, Devin, Francis, everyone here, Shane Davis. It's been incredible that there's not a lot of explaining that has to be done to make them realize this is an economic driving piece. That shuts a lot of people up, which is nice. This is a facility you can invest in that will start paying for itself the moment it opens its doors, even prior to that by getting sponsorships and stuff. But not only that, but what a great community asset. So.
Right, so I want to talk about some basics here so we can kind of give everybody some general information about what's happening. So first of all, MidCity, if you're not aware, it's off University and Research Park Drive. It's where REI is. It's where Topgolf is. It's where, obviously, we're sitting here at the camp.
I heard about Trader Joe's coming.
Yeah. There you go.
The big news.
I want to interview Trader Joe himself.
Yeah.
I am so excited.
I think that's possible. All right, so anyway.
Trader Joe's amphitheater. It's okay.
Right.
I mean, this is cool, but...
Well, the point of that is that this is going to be a really cultural hub for Huntsville.
Yes.
This is the first thing. So the location is a big deal. Obviously, you were just mentioned to us they're doing big road work construction just to make sure that we can, that people can get here and park the whole thing. But this is right here at MidCity. We're looking as far as a date of opening. You kind of ballparking it somewhere in the beginning of 2022.
2022.
Right.
Yeah.
And of course, it's kind of nebulous right now. We don't have any hard dates, but anyway, that's what we're shooting for as a opening time.
I kind of want to get to you're kind of what you're getting at, but just the hard specs. People who are like, the amphitheater, what about it?
Right.
How many seats? What does this place look like? What's going to happen there? For people who are clueless.
The cut sheet here.
Yeah.
Sure. So if you're out of touch and haven't clued into the amphitheater progress. No, Ed. So it's going to look like nothing you've seen before outside of Greece, Turkey, Italy. There's a similar stadium in Forest Hills that's operated by our partners in Madison House, Forest Hills Stadium. It's about 100 years old. It housed the U.S. Open for years, but it also had Jimi Hendrix, the Beatles, the Who. It shut down, and our partners, Mike Lubin and Don Sullivan, have brought it back to life. It's a very big archways, stadium looking, and it was a big U.S. Open stadium. And it's plopped in the middle of Queens, and it stands out because you're in the middle of Queens, and you're like, what is this? It's such a cool thing. To be able to have that awe factor here, it's a design that's timeless, and that way it could have been built 100 years ago, like Forest Hills. I don't think we're trying to fool anybody into thinking it was built 2,000 years ago, like Romans came over and built something in Huntsville. But the idea is it's going to be awe-inspiring and like nothing you've ever seen. And we want to have that. It's sought after in the same way Red Rocks, Hollywood Bowl, the Greek in Berkeley, these like mainstays, these amphitheaters in these venues that people, it's a pilgrimage spot, but it's also something celebrating the community. And I think you invest in something like this, and 100 years from now, it's still going to be there, as opposed to some of these amphitheater or venue in a box. You open, you kind of plop a stage and a field and some beer tents. 20 years later, you got to redo it or whatever, 10 years later. So we built it very intentionally. The geometry of it, speaking back to the design of that Roman-esque Colosseum stadium type, it very much has a lot to do with the acoustics too, because you figure 2,000 years ago they didn't have amplified sound. So when they're speaking to 30,000 people in these Colosseums, they're literally speaking out loud. And so the idea of not putting 8,000 people, which is the goal attendance we have, between 8 and 8,500 capacity, instead of putting them on a big field in front of a stage, we're lifting them up and bringing them in as tight as possible. So the higher you go, the more people you're fitting. And the more the artist-fan experience is just mind-blowing at that point. Because you're not a field away looking at a Jumbotron. Even the worst seat in the house, you're seeing the whites of the eyes of the performer on the stage and vice versa. And that's kind of for the artist, and a lot of this comes from Ben Lovett, who travels the world performing, and he takes his collective knowledge of these venues and his experiences saying, if I could walk out on stage and see everyone, the 8,000 people in front of me, and see them all, and they could all see me, the music that transcends at that point, all of it just leads to such a great experience. It also has a lot to do with mitigating noise. So, for instance, I know that's a hot topic always, and always will be, but the idea, any noise pollution or any kind of the noise escaping the facility is mitigated, really hugging it in. And as we're hanging the PA, it's really concentrated on really just hitting the fans. You're not blowing sound over a field,
Right.
And it's just kind of carrying. Like a day like today would be a nightmare scenario where the sound has nowhere to go. The clouds are low, the wind, the rain. It's going to carry sound miles away if we just put up speakers here and started playing something. So we've been studying all that. The orientation of the stage, we put a lot of time into that as far as the sun setting and rising and as far as the noise. And so, there's a lot going into it, and it's all part of this master plan of this park that the city's developing. And, it's exciting.
What can people expect when what type of music are you guys trying to bring to Huntsville? What type of performances? I know this is something that we don't have here.
Right.
It's meant to bring the type of performers we haven't seen here. So
Sure. So you name it. I think for me it's exciting. Booking the last 10 years in St. Johns County doesn't have as an exciting and a diverse demographic as North Alabama does. And not only that, we're speaking about North Alabama is going to be, Huntsville, Madison, and North Alabama are going to be able to support this amphitheater in and of themselves. But the idea that people will pilgrimage, if we get those bands that wow, this is the only play they have within a 600-700 mile radius or whatever. That was the kind of thing that I loved in Florida. So I think you name it, I'm all about this is a community venue. This is, if someone really wants to see, a certain genre, a certain act, we're going to be running towards all of that at any given time. We're fans of music. We have such diverse and eclectic taste, but we're not personally injecting any of that, but we happen to be able to open all those doors. And so I think you name it, everything,
sky's the limit.
The sky's the limit. And I think in a weird way, COVID has opened up opportunity for us in 2022 to know the artists. There is no limit to the level of artists that would want to play here. So we're rolling into 2022 in a music industry climate to where it's like, if there's an artist that was playing 30, 40,000 people, they might play an 8,000 seat amphitheater in Huntsville, Alabama, because they've heard a lot about it. They're very excited about it. But they also, the reality of COVID and 2022 and how many people are actually going to shows and how things have rolled out, they feel it's a safer bet maybe. Yeah. So it's pretty exciting, the phone calls we've been getting, the industry interest, the people that go. So tell me about this thing in Huntsville, because despite everything else happening in the world, sadly, and in our industry, we seem to be this beacon that somehow is like weathering this storm and are going to come out on the other side celebratory. So
that's awesome.
I want to talk a little bit about the angle that you're talking about, that the amphitheater will also be a community sort of space. So you were kind of describing this earlier when we were talking, that, you know, even in the beginning when you open up, the thought is that anytime I can go over there, somebody who lives around here or doesn't live around here, like you said, is a pilgrimage. Yeah. People can come here and have a picnic, walk through the place, do yoga. There'll be a farmer's market or whatever markets that are gone. And then there's a park next door where I could, you know, go through the park, and then it's sort of like this. It's more like a park than it is like a venue, you know, place.
Yeah, so the doors aren't locked.
Yeah, talk a little bit about that. I think people will be really interested in that side of it.
Yeah, I think that's an exciting aspect of it. I think that comes from, again, going back to St. Augustine, where I like the idea of there's something. I'm a very, not anxious person, but I'm not bored, but ambitious, I guess. I like every day there being something like to come to work to and to see and go, oh wow, I forgot there was children's programming happening all this week. There's like a summer camp for kids. That's a really cool week to go to work. So there's things like that, and I love that vibrancy. I loved in St. Augustine, it was a county venue. So similar to how Huntsville's a city venue, this should be for the people that have helped pay for it, you know. And it's one of those things where it's to be able to know that you can come here on any given day, and there might be some programming happening, there might be an art installation, there might be some market, some festival, there might be something happening that's really exciting that take part in, or you could just go get a beer or a basket of food and go sit on the steps of the amphitheater and have lunch, similar to how people would do in Red Rocks. Again, Red Rocks is open. You can go and you can run the stairs. And so in St. Augustine, I would love to come to work and see people doing yoga in the pit, you know, like 100 people doing yoga in the pit early in the morning, or running the stadium stairs, or having little meetings and get-togethers. And there are people who have like spread their ashes back behind the stage of the amphitheater because the place was so special to him in St. Augustine. So that kind of allegiance and that kind of loyalty and like, you know, connection to a facility is what we want to create. So the ability to go, you know what, I can't afford, nor do I care to go to any concerts at that amphitheater, but I go there a couple times a month and I just have a beer and I walk around. It's connected to a beautiful park. You know, we get to run around, the kids run around. It's just, yeah, it should be a cultural amenity.
I feel like that's the vibe that has sort of been created here at the camp as well.
Absolutely.
And it would make sense that this is happening in the same district, because that's what this place has become. You may not be here for a show or for an event, but you're going to stop by to hang out with your friends and enjoy the good food and drink and being outdoors in a beautiful venue. And I'm excited that the amphitheater is going to have so much life around it beyond just the music. The music is obviously so important and so exciting, but anybody can get something out of it.
Right, and we see these type of event spaces opening up throughout Huntsville, and they get more exciting. But like, you know, stuff like Bridge Street or Stove House or the Mill, people have embraced that, and it's one of the unique things about Huntsville. And it's, you know, we get people that come out of town all the time and say, "Man, I wish our city had something like this." And and this to me is the quintessential.
I can't wait. Part
of that, right? This is the cherry on top where we get to say, Huntsville is different from all these other cities in the surrounding area, or in the world, you know, for sure. Yeah. So that's what I think is exciting about it. Where would people find more information besides at Know Huntsville, besides at HuntsvilleMusic.com, besides these places? Where are they going to find more information about the amphitheater?
So HuntsvilleAmphitheater.com, and amphitheater has an ER, not an RE. HuntsvilleAmphitheater.com. And you can put in your email, and we're going to actively be engaging. And like, this is, right now we're doing that call to action, like, keep your eye on us. We were able to do an announcement like, yeah, we really are building this thing. How exciting is this? We got some regional talent to kind of chip in, whether it be Anderson East and Gil Landry, who did all the voiceover work, and, you know, Brittany Howard, and the people who are going to be supporting us, very North Alabama specific. Come January, February, we're going to be rolling out a lot more PR, a lot more assets. There's film crews coming in town and doing interviews, kind of building that. spring of next year, we're going to be announcing probably our first shows to be happening in 2022.
Nice.
That's the goal that I'm placing out there. So we're trying to ride that momentum. But yeah, if you go to our website, we'll keep everyone abreast.
Awesome.
I got a question for you. You personally, you can bring any band.
Oh.
Any band to play. What's the band that you bring to Huntsville that you'd like to see play at this amphitheater?
So I already told you I'm superstitious, so I feel if I say it,
It won't
it
happen?
won't ever happen. But my white whale,
All
it was
right.
my white whale in St. Augustine, and it was not like the agent would always just hang up on me saying, Ryan, it's not going to happen. It was Neil Young in that way that he was just, I had a checklist, and I had a lot of people on that checklist, whether it be Stevie Nicks, whether it be, I forget who was on that checklist, but Robert Plant. Like, there's a bunch of people that I'm like, I just want to see them perform. I want them to come to St. Augustine for people to go, Stevie Nicks was like 3 blocks away.
Right, yeah.
Are you kidding me? I wanted people to talk like that, and they did. But of that list, I got to everyone except for Neil Young.
Oof.
And so Neil Young, he's my white whale.
There it is.
Neil, if you're watching,
Neil, if you're watching. He watches the show, I'm pretty
Yeah,
sure.
he's our #1 fan.
that's great.
Um,
So Neil,
What
please.
about you?
Oh, man. Well, see, I have like different bands I'd like to see in different genres, right? I mean,
You gotta pick one.
I think it's a good one.
It was your question.
Metal.
I just turned it
Well,
on you.
You can't turn around me. Metal, probably I'd like to see Mastodon play here. I saw them play down in Birmingham. They were amazing. I'd like to see the Trampled by Turtles play down here, which would be really, I like seeing them. I saw them at the Ryman, and they were just, and they're in
They're
that
great.
sort of acoustic sort of,
Sure.
and it was amazing. So
Yeah.
that would be really
I
good
love them. Yeah.
to see them. And, some of the bigger punk rock bands probably would be cool to see,
Nice.
Bad Religion or something like that would play something like this. I don't know, but that would be really cool.
These are all bands I've worked with before.
Oh, yeah,
So
I
you're
know.
in luck.
I've already done that.
He's
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
old
Old
hat.
news.
Let's go back to
Let's
Neil
get some
Young.
new.
You
Yeah,
know
let's
Ben
get some.
Folds? Give him a ring for me. 'Cause
I don't.
that's not
I
darn.
don't. Ben, if you're watching.
Ben Folds, if you're
Well, I
watching.
can imagine Mumford and Sons might make it through.
Yeah.
Okay, there you go.
I'm sure the
Could you
city.
imagine if they didn't?
Like, nah.
Yeah. I'm sure the city somehow snuck it into the contract.
Ah, yeah.
To where they have to
play
be
it.
performing. Yeah, that's an easy one, right? But I think it's interesting. I think it'll be really cool to see. Matt Wake does an article like, wouldn't it be great to see these top 10 artists? And
No,
it's
yeah.
like,
Right.
Snoop Dogg.
Yeah.
That was on the list.
yeah. Snoop Dogg got us a lot of complaints in St. Augustine. Actually, it wasn't him, so I won't blame Snoop Dogg. It was his crew. But yeah, I think the sky's the limit. And I think the amphitheater is going to be flexible. I know we were talking about this earlier, but there's going to be stages surrounding the amphitheater actually too. Little areas to pop up, and you go, okay, the amphitheater is going to be daunting
Right.
if you only draw 1,000 people.
Sure.
And why spend the money to be setting up the sound, the lights, the infrastructure of an amphitheater that seats 8,000 people when you draw about 1,000, 2,000, 3,000? There can be ways to scale the grounds around.
That's great.
really
And I did that in
cool.
St.
Yeah, that's
Augustine,
cool.
and it was really fun because I like using the example of Santana was playing the amphitheater, and there was this amazing band from Jacksonville called LPT. They were a Cuban jazz, Afro. They're just fantastic band. Just got people dancing. They desperately wanted to open for Santana. And I was like, listen, Santana's not going to let you come on stage before he plays. And he's just got his whole setup and he does his thing. But you know what? We have a whole front porch area that's right adjacent to the amphitheater that before the gates open, we have food trucks and beer tents. And you can fit like 2,000 people. You guys should play before the gates even open. And sure enough, we advertised, and 2,000 people were there to
Nice.
see LPT. We're
Wow.
drinking beers, dancing, salsa dancing, having a blast before they even scanned their ticket to go see Santana. So the ability to have that flexibility was so cool. That was great exposure for this band out of Jacksonville.
Oh, yeah,
It's
sure.
tremendous. But I think about the same things here. It's like, I don't necessarily have to go, hey, Robert Plant, I need you to put Lamont on before you play on this major stage. There's a way to like work it into everything we're doing.
Got
There
it,
can be
yeah.
after parties, pre-show activities. It's just a fun way to. I hate hearing when people go, I got tickets to this show, I got home from work, I hauled ass to get dressed, we rush to dinner if we're lucky, we get there, the show's already started because we had to find parking, we watch part of the show, we leave before the encore because we want to beat traffic, and we get home. Like, that sounds terrible. So if you can create an environment to where come here as early as you can. Dinner, we'll have options for dinner. There's even some like really cool things happening before the gates even open. Even when the concert ends, stick around, slowly go to your cars. No one has to rush to get to their cars. That helps with traffic and
Right.
egress. And you might get the chance to say, whoa, I saw this amazing band as I was leaving the show.
yeah.
There's this band performing at the park. You know, just the stuff like that's the exciting part.
I want to thank you so much for coming on the show. I got to imagine this would be the first in many different spotlights we're putting on this over
Sure.
the next year and a half. I'm very excited that you're here. Like Danielle is saying, we're very lucky to have your talent here. The stuff that you've done up to this point is a testament to that. So we're all very excited. We'll all keep a spotlight on it, and I really appreciate you putting this whole thing together,
Cool.
man.
Thanks.
Keep it going. We
can't
desperately
wait.
need it. So.
Yeah, and I say it to you guys' credit, like I've told you, I was watching y'all online before I even moved here. I was like, oh, they know what's up. So here I am a year and a half later.
There it is.
Full
All
circle.
right.
Thank you, Ryan.
Ryan, thank you so much for coming on the show. All right.
No Huntsville, no Huntsville, no Huntsville, no Huntsville.
Yeah, my wife and I came out here like a month or so ago when they started doing some of the site work, and it was at night, and we felt it. We're like, oh wow, I can actually feel it now.